Mr. Speaker, I rise to offer my full support to the motion before this Honourable House. This motion on the 2026-2027 national budget reflects our commitment to the well-being, the security and prosperity of the people of Fiji. I commend the Minister for Finance, Commerce and Business Development and his team for the hard work that ensued, especially at a time of global economic uncertainty brought about by the global energy crisis driven by the war in Iran. And Mr. Speaker, may I take this opportunity to thank the oil companies for their commitment to ensuring that fuel and oil supplies remain uninterrupted during this difficult time. Because Fiji imports all its fuel, any conflict affecting oil supplies immediately raises transport costs, electricity generation costs, food prices, and inflation, especially if it affects the Strait of Hormuz, given 20.3 million barrels of crude oil pass through the strait daily. This budget, Mr. Speaker, is designed to preserve economic stability while protecting households and businesses from the external shocks. The key features of the budget in the context of the Iran crisis include maintaining fiscal discipline despite reduced revenue expectations caused by higher fuel costs and slower global economic activity, no new income tax or corporate tax increases, allowing households and businesses to retain more disposable income during a period of rising living costs, no reduction in public sector salaries, protecting employment and domestic demand. And may I take this opportunity to thank all civil servants for the work that you do in the various ministries that you work for. There's continued investment in essential public services, including health, education, infrastructure, and security, recognizing that national resilience depends on strong institutions. And there are measures to cushion the cost of living, acknowledging that imported inflation remains Fiji's greatest economic vulnerability. And from a strategic perspective, the budget reflects three important policy objectives: economic resilience, ensuring government finances remain sustainable despite global volatility; social protection, shielding vulnerable households from the effects of higher fuel and food prices; national security and resilience, maintaining investment in border management, maritime security, disaster preparedness, and critical infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, for Fiji immigration, the Iran crisis reinforces the importance of resilient border management. International conflicts can generate irregular migration, increase the demand for humanitarian protection, disrupt international travel, and heighten the need for robust passenger screening and intelligence sharing. At the same time, economic pressure may encourage greater labor mobility across the Pacific. Continued investment in immigration technology, border security, and regional cooperation, therefore, becomes not only a security priority, but also an economic necessity. In the 2026-2027 budget, the Ministry of Immigration is allocated 14.8 million. The budget shows government commitment to the continuation and finalizations of the modernization of immigration laws and regulations, the acquisition of modern border management tools and systems, the provision of adequate passport books for citizens, tackling human trafficking, and decentralizing immigration services to allow easier access for citizens and customers. Since the formation of the Ministry of Immigration on the 10th of January last year, 2025, government has been committing to modernizing immigration systems and capabilities. It is a strategic national capability that protects our sovereignty, strengthens our economy, facilitates investment, supports tourism, combats transnational crime, and safeguards the dignity and security of every person who enters or leaves our borders. Mr. Speaker, Fiji sits at the crossroads of the Pacific. Every year, hundreds of thousands of people cross our borders. Tourists, investors, workers, students, and returning citizens. In 2025, 986,367 visitors visited our shores. The current estimation is that this year, 2026, if I'm correct, visitors' arrival will surpass the 1 million mark. And each arrival brings opportunity. Yet every arrival also carries responsibility. Every person that crosses our border is an immigration customer. Our responsibility is to ensure that legitimate travelers are welcomed with efficiency and professionalism, while those who seek to exploit our borders are identified before they can do harm. This budget enables us to meet both those responsibilities. Mr. Speaker, sir, in this day and age of advanced technology and artificial intelligence, border-related risk assessment can begin long before an aircraft lands or a vessel reaches our shores. That is why government, in the current budget year, approved the acquisition of advanced passenger information and passenger name record data system. This capability will enable immigration officers to receive passenger information before arrival, allowing risk assessments to be conducted well in advance. Mr. Speaker, these two data sets, API and PNR, can only be provided to us if it is a requirement by law. And I'm pleased to report that this has been done through the new Immigration Act that was passed in this House in the May sitting. Running concurrent to the review of the Act was the tender process to select a vendor for the system, and that tender has also been awarded. Now that the provision of the two data sets is codified into law, we will be signing the contract with the vendor before this month ends. Mr. Speaker, the work on system design, configuration, testing, and deployment of this API PNR gateway will commence in August with the commencement of this 2026-2027 budget year. And the plan is to have the first airline certification by October this year and to have 5 airlines on board by January 2027. There is a phase 2 of the project where we will enable various modules for intelligence and targeting. Mr. Speaker, this API PNR gateway is being built on a self-funding model, as has been successfully implemented in other countries. And this is a potential revenue earner for government. Also in this 2026-2027 budget year, a new border management system will be put in place and will eventually replace the current system. We are being assisted by Australia in this project, for which we are so grateful. Consultation and the technical work on the design and implementation of this new border management system has already started and is ongoing, and we are targeting full functionality of some modules before the end of this year. Mr. Speaker, these two systems, the API PNR and the Merit Border Management System, will eventually integrate. The end state of this modernization is full automation at our borders, where Fiji citizens and legitimate non-citizen travelers are facilitated through faster and thorough scrutiny is directed to those flagged by the system. Mr. Speaker, these changes are being put in place at a time when visitor arrivals will be surpassing the 1 million mark, and also when we are having an increasing number of foreign workers crossing our borders. When border traffic is constantly increasing, so do the risks and threats associated with terrorism and organized crime. We are putting in place modern tools to mitigate these risks and threats. Our objective in this technological investment and modernization drive is straightforward. Low-risk travelers should experience faster processing. High-risk travelers should receive greater scrutiny. Mr. Speaker, for our Fiji citizens, automation and e-gates at our border is meaningless if they do not have a passport. In this budget, 5 million is allocated for the procurement of 100,000 blank passport books. And this is a repeat of the 100,000 procured in this budget year. This will ensure that there is enough books available well into the 2027-2028 budget year. Along the same vein of passport services, we have technicians who are currently working on a system upgrade that will make applications for passport more convenient, where there are a lot more that can be done online rather than appearing in person at an immigration office. Mr. Speaker, sir, this budget also supports our commitment to bring immigration services closer to the people through the decentralization of service delivery. In the 2026-2027 budget year, immigration will also operate from 2 new offices. The establishment of a new immigration office in Nakasi represents a significant step in improving access to the rapidly growing and dense populations of the Suva-Nosori corridor. Instead of requiring members of the public to travel into central Suva, many essential immigration services will now be available closer to where they live and work. This initiative will reduce travel time, ease congestions at our Suva office, improve customer experience, and enable our offices to provide more efficient and responsive services. And this move to Nakasi is also in anticipation of more international flights into and out of Nosori Airport, where we will have referral offices closer at Nakasi rather than coming all the way from Suva. There is also allocation in this budget to renovate the immigration office at the Nosori Airport, again in anticipation of more international flights and the utilization of API and PNR services. Mr. Speaker, sir, we are also expanding our presence to Rakiraki. The opening of an immigration office in Rakiraki reflects our determination to ensure that government services are accessible to all Fijians, regardless of where they reside. For the communities of Ra and neighboring districts, this means easier access to passport services and immigration advice without the need for lengthy and costly travel. This decentralization is about more than convenience. It is about equitable service delivery and ensuring that every citizen has access to high-quality public services closer to home. Mr. Speaker, another important allocation in the immigration budget is the $225,000 dedicated to combating human trafficking and strengthening compliance with international best practices. Human trafficking remains one of the most serious crimes confronting the international community. It exploits the vulnerable, destroys families, and undermines the rule of law. This allocation will be utilized to enhance officer training, improve victim identification, strengthen our investigative capability, and reinforce cooperation with regional and international partners. Mr. Speaker, sir, digital transformation remains central to our future. Modern immigration systems rely on secure information management, biometric verification, automated risk assessment, and real-time intelligence sharing. Investment in technology is not merely an operational improvement, it is an investment in national security. Mr. Speaker, this budget reflects a balance. It invests in secure passports for immigration, it strengthens actions against human trafficking, it modernizes border technology, it improves airport security, it supports investment, it enhances service delivery, it prepares Fiji for future migration challenges while protecting our national interests. The allocation of 14.8 million is therefore not simply expenditure, it is an investment in national security, an investment in economic growth, an investment in international confidence, an investment in public service excellence. Most importantly, it is an investment in the future resilience of Fiji. May I digress a little bit and acknowledge and thank the Minister for Finance on the tax incentives that is provided in this budget for those that want to invest in building animal shelters and those that want to donate to animal centers. Thank you for that provision. Mr. Speaker, I must acknowledge the Honorable Prime Minister's wisdom to create a standalone Ministry of Immigration, because in doing so, he has allowed immigration the freedom to transform into what it should have been already, a modern 21st century ready border control and security agency. The technological developments that I had highlighted is the catalyst for this transformation. Mr. Speaker, this small and young ministry is a revenue earner for government. If you look at the budget book, apart from FRCS, and LTA, immigration is third. Mr. Speaker, when this transformation is completed, and we see this happening at the earliest around the end of 2027, and at the latest by 2028, the Ministry of Immigration could be hived off into a statutory authority, reducing government cost, and it will be a significant revenue earner for government also. Mr. Speaker, sir, none of these ambitions can be achieved without the dedicated men and women of the Ministry of Immigration. They operate in demanding environments requiring sound judgment, professionalism, and integrity. I take this opportunity to acknowledge their commitment and thank them for their dedicated service to our nation. With those remarks, Mr. Speaker, I offer my full support to the motion on the 2026-2027 budget that is before this Honourable House. Thank you, sir.